the series of launch events for the WDR on jobs. And I think there are copies outside at least of the summary for those of you who haven't picked one up yet. And a few words before we go in. I'm Andy Norton. I'm the Director of Research for ODI. Just some housekeeping before we get into the major parts of the event. This is on the record, this discussion, and we also have an online audience as well. So we'll be taking some questions from the online audience too as we go through. And because we have an online audience, people can please speak into a mic. When we go to the audience for questions, we'll be passing the mics around. And also for the speakers, if you can just make sure that you're speaking into a mic and share the 3 mics we've got here. Can you please all, including me, turn off the ringers on your mobile phones? I'll just do that as well while everyone's... And I think those are the main things. So we'll now start on the event. Before I introduce the panel, just a few words. It wasn't too much of a surprise, I think, when the 2013 WDR was announced, the topic was announced, that it would be focusing on jobs. This has been ever higher on the development agenda, particularly since the financial crisis of 2009, continuing really to the present day. And of course, it's a topic, I think, more than many WDRs that resonated for developed countries as well as developing countries. Particularly the stagnation, obviously, in terms of the job markets in Europe, but also in other OECD countries as well. So I think that set the team interesting challenges in terms of taking on this topic. We were delighted to have a small partnership from ODI with the WDR, preparing some background papers on social cohesion, export processing zones, and also growth and inequality. And it's also maybe an interesting moment to have this discussion. We've just had the high-level panel on the post-2015 agenda in London. And I think the employment, jobs, and income area is one of the major areas of debate that's shaping up for how that can be better taken account of within any future framework of development goals than it was in the original year 2000 MDGs. I think it's also, just as a final comment, one of those public policy challenges that historically is one of the hardest to come up with genuine policy insights, to genuinely add value, to show how things can really change in lots of different contexts. For the better in terms of public policy to promote employment and jobs. I'll introduce the panel now before we start. We're delighted to have with us Kathleen Beagle, one of the deputy directors of the WDR on Jobs. Kathleen is a senior economist from the Development Research Group with a very strong track record, I'm sure many of you will know, on the study of poverty dynamics, shocks, child labour, and household survey data collection. Also delighted to have Dina Ringgold, who I've known for a long time for her work on social protection, poverty and human development from the Policy Centre of the World Bank in Washington, DC. And we have 2 discussants. Very pleased to welcome DFID's Chief Economist, Stefan Durkon, who will be our first discussant. Sadly, we don't have Alison Evans, ODI's director today, due to a personal emergency. She wasn't able to make it. And Pedro Martins has kindly agreed to stand in for her from our Growth, Poverty and Inequality programme here at ODI. Okay, so I think that's probably all I need to say as a broad introduction. So Kathleen, are you starting the presentation?